Taylor Swift is a link builder. There were rumors that she would get engaged. Our client said, let's give them a free wedding venue. And then we got them 50 links. That's digital PR.
Managing multiple clients or large websites? Automate your SEO with Ali AI. Start your free trial now.
Wix Studio, one end-to-end web creation platform for your agency to deliver exceptional work with absolute efficiency.
Good afternoon. This is now a complete disaster. That was a message that I came back to on Slack on a Monday morning and immediately thought, this week's not going to go particularly well. Even worse, the client that had sent it on Saturday afternoon. So, what was the complete disaster, you may ask? Well, I decided that I wanted to consolidate 5 campaigns into one. It's a fairly straightforward thing to do. You have 4 campaigns, you copy and paste the ad groups into another, and then you get efficiencies from there. Straightforward, right? Nah, complete disaster apparently. But he seemed to change his tune a few weeks later. No idea why. Well, yes, just those 2 days later, cost per acquisition had gone down by 97%, the conversion rate had gone up almost 33 times, and the conversions, they've gone up 15%, not up 1,500%, that's 15,000% month on month. Really wanted to send him a message back on Slack, but I never did. The thing is, these numbers are great, and these numbers speak for themselves. Or at least so I thought. Because the more I thought about these numbers, and the more I really looked at what he said, the quicker I came to a horrifying realization. He was right. It was a complete disaster. Was being the key word in that sentence. You see, when this new campaign just launched, bear in mind, it was an old one that had been running just with new ad groups in. The campaign, on its first day, had 4 impressions. Not conversions, not clicks, impressions. If that's not a complete disaster, I don't know what is. Needless to say, I looked like this for about a week afterwards. Why didn't smart bidding do what it was supposed to do? Like I say, this was a campaign that had been in the account. It already had data. Yes, okay, we switched over the conversion action, but there were plenty of data in there, several months worth. Yes, okay, maybe the bid strategy might have been a bit too tight, but once you release that, you'd expect things to release, no? I scratched my head for a long time about this one. I went so deep down a rabbit hole that I'm still not entirely sure that I ever made it back out. Now, this talk isn't about this client, and it's certainly not about me. This talk is actually about you. You are a highly skilled digital marketer. I know that because you're in this room. If you weren't trying to improve your skills, then you wouldn't be here sharpening your saw. So when you see a talk, this talking about smart bidding, you might have some ideas in your head. And what I really want to say to you is, if you're thinking I'm going to stand up on stage and say, this is target CPA, this is target ROAS, it's so much better than manual bidding. No, let me explain. By the end of today's talk, what I hope you'll have is a more holistic view at a high level of what smart bidding is doing behind the scenes. Because you are making decisions on a daily, weekly, and monthly basis which are influencing the bidding algorithms, and I want you to tell whether you're influencing them positively or negatively by the end of this talk. But why on earth should you listen to me? First of all, quick intro. My name is Nathan Ifill. I am a senior paid search manager at WeDiscover, based in Southwark in London. So if you ever see someone who looks like me darting into Borough Station at around 6 p.m. on a weekday, yeah, it's not me. I work remotely from Leicester. Something else you should know about me is I've got about 7 years worth of paid search experience. I think arguably more important than those 2 facts, I'm a maths graduate. Now, this may surprise some of you because I seem to be the only maths student who can hold a conversation without staring at their feet. But yes, I have a master's degree in mathematics. I am an associate member of the Institute of Mathematics and its Applications. I'm also a fellow of the Royal Statistical Society. I say all of these things, in summary, to say I should know what I'm talking about. Just don't ask me to help with long division. Now, like any good mathematician, I've come here to solve problems. So I already have a 3-step plan for you for success. Number 1, feed the beast. Number 2, exclude permanently. And number 3, model extensively. So, shall we get started with a bit of stats? This here is Bayes' theorem. This alien language up here actually is something that you already know, and not because you were taught it at school, but because you actually used it last week. Let me explain. All this is saying is the probability of A given B is equal to the probability of B given A multiplied by the probability of A, all divided by the probability of B. Clear as mud, right? Believe it or not, that is the simplified version, but I think we can go even simpler. All this is saying is, what's the chance that this happens, given the fact that that happened? And actually, like I said, you used this recently, you used this last week, when there were grey clouds all across the UK, and you looked outside the window and said, oh, that doesn't look good. Probably should wear a coat, maybe bring a brolly. Or in my case, said, oh my gosh, why did my family leave Jamaica for this? Guess what? You were using Bayes' theorem. And similarly, when you travel on the tube and you hear people talking in a foreign tongue and blocking the left side of the escalator, you think, oh, they're probably tourists. Again, you're using Bayes' theorem. And when you get that text off of your friend, and they say, yeah, I'm on my way, and you know full well they haven't left their bedroom and probably still standing there wearing odd socks, guess what? Once again, you are using Bayes' theorem. And Google uses this in order to create models to keep people from one place to another, from search query to landing page. So let's say that I'm trying to sell hot dogs, and someone's searching on Google for Nathan's Hot Dogs, and I have an ad with a headline that says Nathan's Hot Dogs. Google is trying to answer the question, what's the chance that someone's going to convert if they search for Nathan's Hot Dogs and they see an ad which has Nathan's Hot Dogs written in it? Fairly simple. And Google's doing this with all of your search queries and all of your ad assets and all of your landing pages. It effectively works a bit like a fruit machine in a casino, going through all of the different options in order to find the best possible path for everyone involved. It actually does this even within ads, if you think about responsive search ads, where it will go through all the various different options there too. Now, there's a bit of a corollary that comes from this, which you might not have picked out just yet about your responsive search ads. What I'm effectively trying to tell you is that when it comes to pinning, you should be really, really careful about doing it. There are some legal reasons as to why you might need to pin your ads, but most of the time, it's probably not necessary. I once calculated that a responsive search ad has 32,768 different combinations from just one ad if you filled it in. It's actually more than that now, given extra features which have been introduced. However, if you pin just one headline, you immediately eliminated 93% of testing possibilities. Now, I know you think your brand name needs to go in position 1. I know that's the best place that it performs, but if you're so sure about it, why not let Google figure that out? What if there are some people coming through certain search terms where actually your brand name would perform a lot better in position 2, or your ad might perform better if the brand wasn't there at all? What I'm suggesting that you do, more generally, is feed the beast. You need to give Google the data that it needs to be able to work out which search queries are going to lead to landing pages in the best way possible. Give Google that information so that way it can make the right decisions and optimize accordingly. So speaking of feeding the beast, I often find myself walking into the kitchen, and as soon as I get there and open a cupboard door, I immediately forget what I went in there for. And I realize this is actually quite similar to something that we do in Google Ads. Data exclusions. You see, your campaign knows where it is, but it doesn't know where it's been, and it has to kind of work things out from there. So before you all say, oh no, you're going to tell us not to use data exclusions now. No, I'm not going to say that at all. If you have a conversion data outage or something like that, maybe your tracking's gone down on your website, your server's gone down, anything to do with influencing your conversions in Google Ads, put a data exclusion in. You're not going to hear any argument from me. What I will say though is, If there's one thing that's worse than putting on a data exclusion when you shouldn't put one on, it's removing it when you should. So, I think there are very few things in PPC which are black and white. I think this one is one of those things that really is. Never, ever, ever remove a data exclusion under any circumstances. I can see some people nodding, and you probably will think, oh yeah, so it just means like if you add one in, but if you backfill the data, that's completely fine. No. Oh no. If you actually look on Google Ads Help, it tells you that if you do that, you will see undesired fluctuations in your campaigns. Now, given the weight gain that I've seen just getting up to this talk, I don't want to see any more undesired fluctuations. Now, you might be thinking, okay, but what's the problem if you're going to backfill the data and things like that? Surely everything's okay. Let me explain with a childhood game. If you played Guess Who before, you'll know that the aim of the game is trying to work out who your opponent's character is. You ask questions, and through a process of elimination, you try and work out who they are. So, are they male? No. Okay, fall down all the females. Are they wearing glasses? No. Okay, fall down all of those people. And eventually you get to a point where you kind of know who it is. But when you backfill your data into Google Ads, and then you remove that data exclusion, you are effectively changing the history of the game. It's kind of like getting right to the last character and your opponent saying, oh, sorry, did you say glasses earlier? Yeah, they are wearing glasses. By that point, it's a bit too late. You're a bit too far down the road. In fact, this is even easier to understand if you were going to look at the analogy of driving in a taxi to the airport. You're going in your taxi and your taxi driver meets a traffic jam and suddenly turns off to the left. I know a shortcut, he says. But as he continues driving, he finds even more traffic and turns left again. Much clearer this way. And he carries on driving. Goes left a bit, goes right a bit, round a roundabout or two, and eventually after 10 minutes of this, you finally look up from your phone where you're watching TikTok videos of cats and realize that all of the signs to the airport are pointing that way, and you are almost certainly heading that way. Now, even given British politeness, you're going to have to say something at some point. So, which of the two options will it be? Will you, A, say to the driver, excuse me, but it seems like all of the signs for the airport are actually going that way, and your sat-nav has said make a U-turn 17 times in a row, so it'd be really good if you could turn around because I don't want to miss my flight. Or, do you go with option B and say, oh, well, you made a wrong turn here and you made a wrong turn there, and actually you describe in excruciating detail where the driver went wrong in the past. If you can't see the parallels, that's exactly what you're doing when you're backfilling your data and data exclusions and then removing it. What you need to do instead is let the machine learning algorithms do exactly what they are built to do: learn. So speaking of these machine learning models, here's a model for you here. I should point out, to clarify, the model is on the left of the screen, not on the right. On the right is Alejandro Chamorro, one of the wonderful members of the We Discover tech team. So I went to Alejandro and I said, I want to build this dashboard which can model what Google's doing. Can we build it? And he said, yeah. So we worked on this together. And by working on this together, like any good university group project, he did all of the hard work, and I just made it look pretty. But what this has given us is a bit of a crystal ball to be able to work out what's going to happen. Google models things using time series, and one of the best ways to do that is using an ARIMA model like this. So what we could then work out is when we would see spikes in cost, or maybe we'd see spikes in revenue, and we could actually start adjusting ROAS targets on the fly for our clients to make sure that we could hit the budgets and the targets by knowing what Google was expecting and when it was going to push and when it was going to pull. Now this would be a really good time for me to go, and here's our QR code so you can download our tool. But at the moment it's internal only. However, I've spoken with Alejandro, and what we're hoping to do is create a tutorial to show you how we built this dashboard and how you can do something similar. So, in terms of kind of task, which I think that you need to go and try, if you haven't done this already, please go and test unpinned ads. Go and try it out. Test having something which you've pinned and something which you've unpinned, and just see what the performance is like. There are two possible options here. One is it's absolutely terrible, and you say that bloke on stage and do absolutely nothing. Or you will see an increase in performance, in which case you're welcome. The second thing I'd suggest you do is download my data exclusion slides. So this talk that you're listening to today is based off of that, and it was an extremely wordy talk that I did internally for the We Discover team, talking about data exclusions and how it really shows you in great detail how the bidding algorithm works behind the scenes. It also explains a bit more about machine learning, ARIMA models, and things like that, but it's extremely wordy, so I advise you go and read that along with the speaker notes. If you want to know where you can find that, that'll be up on my LinkedIn at around 3 p.m. today. And finally, go and search for ARIMA Plus. So ARIMA Plus is the model which is used in BigQuery in order to build that dashboard. Now, until that tutorial comes along, that's the best resource going in order to show you how you can build a dashboard and work out exactly what Google is doing behind the scenes. Go and check it out. Now you might be asking, okay, you said all this different stuff about data exclusions and feed the beast and blah, 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 but actually what went wrong? How come that thing ended up being such a disaster in the first place? Well, it was because of something which I knew, but clearly didn't quite understand. You see, Google Ads can't see all conversions. And by all conversions, I don't mean every conversion, I mean all conversions, that column that you have when you're analyzing your campaigns and looking at other conversion actions. I do this, everybody knows this, but when switching over the consolidated campaign to this new conversion action, despite having tons of data that was in the account, as soon as it flipped over to primary, Google said, nope, can't see any of that, sorry mate. So one of the best things to do moving forward, if you're going to try and do this on one of your campaigns which is already running, is actually to use a custom goal. So due to a strange quirk in Google Ads, if you put a custom goal in, your secondary conversions do influence your bidding and optimization. So if you've got a new campaign, then obviously you might be able to accept that volatility, but if you don't, you can go through the custom goal route, and that's what I'd advise. So I want to leave you with 3 things to take away. Let Google learn. What you really need to do is give Google the data that it needs to work out exactly how to get people from search query to landing page and converting. Secondly, don't mess with the past. If you've ever seen Back to the Future or pretty much any film about time travel, you'll know it's a bad idea to do it. When you've put your data exclusions on, what you need to do is just leave it there. Think of it like that X that you sometimes think about but tell people that you don't. Move on. And finally, model the model. We live in a world where it seems like there are AI startups which are appearing every 15 seconds. When there are machine learning tools out there that can help show you exactly what Google is thinking, why on earth wouldn't you take advantage of that? Go and have a look at those tools. Go and build these things yourself. Go and see what it can do for you and your campaigns. So that is all from me for today. Thank you so much for listening. My name is Nathan Ifill, and this talk has been a complete disaster. Thank you.
Monthly reporting making you want to shove sharp things up your nose? Try Dragon Metrics, the all-in-one SEO software with mind-blowing reporting tools.